You know what? I think we all owe this show an apology. Alright, yesterday, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man wrapped up its 10-episode first season, and I had a chance to finish it today. I'm going to give you my review here, but before I do, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell. Comment down below, what are your personal opinions on Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man? I would love to know all that and more. Now, heading into the series, me, just like everybody else, was very skeptical for it. I was not a fan of the marketing for it. The animation little clips that we saw didn't work. Then it kind of went into like it was originally going to be MCU, and then it decided to all of a sudden change to be its own certain multiverse with different characters and stuff, that making changes that I feel kind of would have been unnecessary. Now, I'm not a guy that goes for the race part. I don't care that Norman Osborn's black, but like other aspects, like how we learned that Peter was getting his powers before this, seemed a little bit weird. But as you could tell before my intro video, I think we owe this show an apology, and here is why. I love this show. I thought Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was fantastic. Heading into the show, like I said, and even though after those first two episodes, still very skeptical out of it. The first two episodes I found to be good, intriguing, made me want to watch the next episode, which is what a good show should do. But it also kind of had my struggles that I thought before I even saw the show kind of confirmed those, where we were doing different characters and it was kind of some weird ideas here that I wasn't quite sure worked. And as soon as those first two episodes were done, and you can find my full review on those first two episodes, I'll probably put it up here or try to put it in the description. And it is an old video, so you can check that out. For me, as soon as those first two episodes ended and we hit episode 3, 4, and 5, that structure there, I thought the show was perfect, because what the show is able to do is be a fresh spin on Spider-Man and his characters and his lore while keeping it fresh. It is so fresh. We haven't seen anything like this before. It is another story Spider-Man, keeping everything that's loyal about Spider-Man, his sense of heroism, everything that Spider-Man is, and it does him so perfectly, while also changing some things that overall, by the end of the show, I thought they were changed for the better. Plot lines in the show, characters in the show, all more unique and interesting because it's different. We haven't seen this kind of show or project for Spider-Man ever. And that's what made me think that this is a really, really, really good show. Let's start getting into some more specifics here. The animation, I did have a little bit of struggles with that in the first two episodes, just due to the fact that the animation when characters are walking and talking and doing normal things, kind of glitchy, didn't quite work for me. I still thought the action animation was great from the very beginning. And here, I still think that the animation is great. I think that every problem that I had with it in the first two episodes, like many problems I had on those first two episodes, were completely eradicated by the time we hit episode 3. The animation started flowing smoothly. Every action sequence is just animated so good. That was my biggest positive in the first two episodes, and it stays throughout the entire show. Every single action sequence, and even the sequences where characters are talking, or just randomly walking, doing something that's not action, I eventually grew into the animation and thought it was a really fresh and unique animation style that I thought really worked. The voice cast is really good, and we're just going over technical things. I'll talk about more about the plot lines and stuff in a minute. Voice cast I thought was really good. Hudson Thames is a great Spider-Man. Obviously, we got Coleman Domingo as Norman Osborn. He's the big household name. But Hudson Thames, I thought it was great. I was very surprised because I don't know anything about him. He made some controversial comments at the beginning of the show, or before the show even came out, and I thought he was a great Spider-Man. Like, very, very good, very able to capture the youthfulness of Spider-Man, the comedic timing of what Spider-Man is, and able to do all that. I thought Hudson Thames was a really good Spider-Man. And Coleman Domingo is a really good Norman Osborn as well. Everybody else in this cast I thought was really good, and I thought owned their characters perfectly. It's also a lived-in world. Now, I made a post on Twitter after episodes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I kind of didn't like the fact that it was a lived-in world. I did, but at the same time, I don't think it was handled great. The show kind of constantly felt the need to remind us that it's a lived-in world, felt the need to be like, oh, hey, remember the Sokovia Accords? Yeah, the Sokovia Accords are a thing here. Constantly felt the need to remind us of the Sokovia Accords, and that was a little bit frustrating in that 6-episode span. By the time the end of the show happened, I kind of liked that it was lived-in world, because some of the plot lines that we were heading towards, especially in that final episode, I thought were really unique and kind of worked that's a lived-in world. And just like X-Men 97, we get random cameos from here on out. We'd get Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Daredevil. We had all that inside of this show. It's very cool to see them popping up from now and then. And there were several cheer-worthy moments. I was literally watching the show, and sometimes I clapped at the end of the episodes because I was like, that is cool. That is cool. I really like what they do here. And that brings us into plot lines, some very key plot lines, and some things that I thought really worked, especially by the end of the show. And we'll talk about that aspect in a minute, plot lines heading into the next season. I really liked a lot of plot lines here. Obviously, you got the typical Spider-Man plot line. He's working with Norman Osborn. You get the Otto Octavius plot line, as Norman has a personal vendetta against Otto Octavius, and we'll talk about Norman here in a minute. But then you get the other plot line about the 1/10 gang and the Scorpion gang and the street war that they have. That is a very personal story. It's not Fate of the World or anything. It's a very personal story, and I think it really works for a Spider-Man origin. It really works. And characters like Tombstone, Lonnie, where at the very beginning, the first 2 episodes, I was like, I don't know if I like where this plotline's going. Lonnie and the Pearl. I don't know if I like that at all. Every time they're on screen, I'm like, ugh, I don't like that much. By the time the show ended, I really loved him, and I loved his character, and I loved the direction he's going, his transformation into Tombstone. You constantly want him to make the right decision, but you see him falling into the descent of gang violence and the gang stuff in there. And I really liked his character. And Scorpion, I thought was a really cool villain. He was not as prominent in the show. He was the main villain, I would say. But there's not really like a whole big story with a main villain. It's just basically Spider-Man being Spider-Man. And he was the big threat for Spider-Man. I thought he was a great villain. He was menacing, gave Spider-Man his origin story beat down. He gets his butt kicked. The stuff that we see out of every Spider-Man. And I thought he was a very, very good villain in here. And the whole plotline with that aspect. And then you get the whole plotline with the Norman Osborn stuff. And I'm not going to spoil it because the show just came out yesterday. This is a spoiler-free review. But the stuff that we get with Norman Osborn and the stuff that happens in the last episode of it, building up throughout the entire show, you know that Norman Osborn's doing something. And then you get the answers, and they are satisfying answers, while also closing out all the plot lines that we got in the show. Episode 9 kind of closes out the Scorpion plotline and the Tombstone plotline and the 1/10 Street Gang plotline. And then episode 10 just closes up the Norman Osborn plotline, and it merges all those plotlines so perfectly. There's so many plot lines over 10 episodes that merge perfectly. MCU Disney Plus needs to take some notes here. Marvel Animation with X-Men 97, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man have been fantastic. What If, not good. I don't like What If whatsoever. But with X-Men 97, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, these have been some fantastic shows. And we're still getting Eyes of Wakanda, Marvel Zombies. Shows that now that Marvel Animation is two for 3, technically, with What If, I think that they are phenomenal. And it's really worked. And the script is perfect here. MCU needs to take some notes for how to handle all these plot lines over a 10-episode span without feeling rushed or anything. Because this show freaking does it. And then we got the plot lines to close out the season. And then set up for next season. Several plot lines at the end of that 10th episode that I literally just watched an hour ago that made me cannot wait. I genuinely cannot wait for next season. I think I might be anticipating this more than X-Men 97 Season 2. Because I adored X-Men 97. I think it was fantastic. I might be anticipating this one a little bit more. That might be surprising, but yeah, you know what? I think I'm anticipating Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2 a little bit more because of the plot lines they set up and the ideas that they established there. So overall, this Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, no expectations whatsoever. It delivered on everything. Everything that you'd want for the Spider-Man origin story. Even like the changes they had, changed for good. My big complaint was that they had Aunt May asking for money, which felt very uncharacteristically. But there's not really anything that struggled after that. From episodes 3 to episode 10, the show is perfect. Had a little bit of a struggling start, and maybe you should have quit bringing up plot lines from MCU projects over and over again. But besides that, I love this show. Before I give you my final score, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and tell me down below what is your opinions on your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And stay tuned. I'm going to have all 3 Marvel animation projects ranked, and then I'm going to have a versus video, X-Men 97 or your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And with that said, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is fantastic. Everything that I want from a Spider-Man show, it absolutely nails it. Maybe the first 2 episodes didn't quite hook me, and then we had an aspect that constantly brought up other heroes that I felt kind of unnecessary, but I still love this show. And for me, those problems didn't mean anything. I adored this. I'm going to give your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man an A+. You must check it out on Disney+. Highly recommend it. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon in the future. And with that said, subscribe.